Well, if you're ever brave enough to stroll down Hollywood Boulevard, you are sure to run into the Ripley's Believe It or Not Museum, one of several across our country. And if you are bold enough to lay down your $20, as about 12 million people a year do in our country, you will be able to enter into what they call the Odd-atorium, O-D-D, the Odd-atorium. And you will see the shrunken heads, and you will see the man with a snake crawling up his nose and out of his mouth. You'll see the two-headed pig. You'll see the replica of the 9-foot-tall man. You'll see the mule-faced woman. She's pretty. There'll be plenty in there to certainly stretch your sense of credulity. They are going to do that to you because the things that are in there certainly are odd. They are odd. They are not things you see every day. They're things that seem outside the norm. You run into those things, you think, well, I don't know if even that's even possible. That seems like it can't happen or it can't be. And of course, they're saying, well, believe it or not, it's the truth. And they try to show you these very odd things that are very hard to believe. Now, I've got to think, as we've been studying through the Gospel of Luke, and we've come upon chapter 17 in our verse-by-verse study, that surely the apostles felt a little bit like they'd walked into the Odd-atorium, listening to Jesus speak of things that at first seem very common and normal and reasonable, but before long, talk about stretching their sense of credulity, all of a sudden Jesus starts saying things that seem absolutely crazy. They seem outlandish. It was one thing to start the chapter talking about the fact that temptations to sin are bad and you're going to run into those in life, but then to say, hey, if you are the source of temptation for one of these little ones, one of these Christians, my followers, it'd be better for you to have a cement donut thrown around your neck and put into the sea and drowned. Whoa, really? And then to say, well, you know, you're supposed to forgive, but not just forgive once or twice, but even if someone, the same person, 7 times in one day wrongs you, you ought to be so forgiving that you're going to forgive and forgive and forgive. Talk about unusual. Wow, at some point they've got to say, well, this is crazy. I'm not sure if that's possible. I don't think anyone can actually do that. Well, that certainly was something I said as we started last time we were together. That has to be how the disciples felt. And so Jesus, we see, gives them some comfort by saying, well, if you would trust me. And this, we looked at the miracle of new birth. We looked at the work of the Spirit in our lives last time we were together. Listen, I can make you do things. I can enable you to do things. I can empower you to do things that you didn't think were possible. You need to trust me. Of course, we need to work, but you need to trust me. And we can do things that you didn't even think you could do to live up to the standards that I'm calling you to in this particular context, which is not just in chapter 17, but throughout the teaching of what he's calling his disciples to do in the Gospel of Luke.